Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. I really wanted to take a look back here in this video and really talk about a little bit about the upcoming Vasil hard fork in June. So a few people asked me what is a hard fork. So basically, just to keep it very simple, a hard fork is basically a network upgrade. So they are introducing improvements to the blockchain, which will make it easier, for example, for dApp developers and so on. So there are various improvements, and I can talk about that a little bit more maybe in a specific video about the Vasil hard fork. But what in this video really is so important, I wanted to communicate really, because there's also a lot of new viewers on this channel, that Cardano, even though it has done a very, very long correction, this pump here that was in July, August and into September 21, even though that is when it really then stopped. That is when we had the hard fork. That is when we had the last hard fork. So for Cardano, there have been a few recent hard forks over the last couple of years, yeah. And we had one, which was somewhere here in the beginning of September. I think it was around the 10th. I would need to look it up now. But it was here, the Alonso hard fork, yeah. And you can see that before that hard fork took place, we had this sort of buy the rumors run to the upside, and then we had the sell the news event. So basically what usually happens that you see before something like that happens, because that was a huge there was a huge expectation related to this hard fork, and yeah, we had a huge run up from down here from the low back in June 21 of around 200%. Yeah, so that I think was pretty good. The one before that was the so-called Mary hard fork. Now that was in March 21. So it was somewhere here. Yeah, so basically here around that dip, I think. Somewhere here. Yeah, and also here you can see that we made a huge run to the upside. It doesn't look as much as the run to the upside for the Alonso hard fork, but overall in percent, it was huge. I think we made over 1000%, because you need to see where we actually came from. We came from somewhere down here where we didn't even have a price of 10 cents. So made it all the way up to, yeah, over $1. So roughly in percent from somewhere down here, it was, yeah, it was actually more than, was it more than 3000%? Probably can't really take it from there, because we had another hard fork in July 2020. But even if I take it just purely from here, so yeah, around 480%, depending on from where I do it, just very, very roughly. I measured it before, I think it was around 1000%. And then we had before that the so-called Shelly hard fork that was in July 2020, yeah. So I need to make that a bit larger here. But also here you can see, this is where we had the hard fork, somewhere here in the beginning of that last peak, and this was the Shelly hard fork, as I said. So again, here you saw a huge run up, obviously from the dip in March 2020 that we probably all know what that was related to, and you moved all the way up, and again from the low here we made around, yeah, 600%. So I think that was quite impressive, and that is typically what you see occur. I mean, everything moves in waves, yeah. But with Cardano, it basically moves also in line with those hard forks. So it's not only Cardano. I mean, you usually see that with many other projects as well, blockchains, expectations related to a certain event, like Silica as well, with the 2nd of April event in Miami. So you often see that, where you see these huge run-ups before a certain event, which we call buy the rumors, and then usually you see a dip either after the event, during the event, or very, very briefly before the event. But the weeks and months before that usually usually mean that we have a bit of a run to the upside. Now the Vasil hard fork is in June 2020, so at some point here in June we've got the next hard fork. And yeah, does that mean that we can expect here something like that? I think absolutely it's possible. I just wanted to make you aware of the possibility. I mean, it is in line with my expectations anyway, that even should we have another dip for Cardano, that we are in the last meters of the correction. I mean, nobody at this stage can really say for sure if or that the correction has been finished. It's a bit too early for that. Told you in previous videos that I need to see a first impulsive move to the upside, and you know, maybe you can count that as an impulse, what Cardano is doing here. But what is so important is that we get an impulse, we get an ABC down, and also we cross the 163 level. That for me is the confirmation that I would then say, right, the low is in. Until then, it is more of a speculation, yeah, because we don't know yet. The downside potential is still very much there. There are many scenarios in which the price could still dip lower, could still dip to that previous low once more, could dip to the $1 mark, could even dip again to the 55-cent mark. So all of that still possible for Cardano, but the move to the upside here was certainly interesting, impressive, because from the low, Cardano made now already around 60-65%. And bear in mind, Cardano is in the top 10, so having a top 10 coin do that is quite good, especially after Cardano's long correction. But this could only be the beginning, and that is what I mean. It could only be the beginning leading to that Vasil hard fork. So when we approach the Vasil hard fork, we need to be careful not just to blindly assume that the price is going to go up after that. It all depends on what the price is doing then, so I'll keep you updated. I won't be able to tell you now if we really see a drop after the Vasil hard fork. We need to see how the structure of the price is going to look then, yeah, and if we're overbought or whatever. So it is purely what we, you know, looking at what the price did back then, and yeah, basically assuming what the price will do in the future. Just really want to make you aware of that. Looking here more short term, as I said before, what we can see here is the left shoulder ahead and possibly now forming that right shoulder. That is what we talked about before. Possibly this could do a retest down to $1. Now we haven't done that yet, but that is certainly possible because the price currently is struggling to push through that $126 level. That is the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. And Cardano is holding fairly well, I must say, right? It's holding fairly well. It just needs to push through here. I mean, what we see at the moment, and if I make it to the 1 hour chart, you can see obviously that the price did move up here. We had that bearish divergence that we talked about. We then saw the anticipated dip. It did go down all the way to nearly $1.10. And now we're moving higher. Now that could become, be careful about that, that could become just a retest of that resistance level again. And I think only if you break above that 122 level here, and that is an ascending trend line, so that level changes every day, I think then we can be fairly confident that that we're not gonna drop much lower here, but that from here we could actually move a little bit higher and even break that 126 level. But certainly what we can see here, that it's holding fairly well. So the $1.11 level did hold, yeah, and we're already back above that important $1.14 level where we had resistance and support before as well. If we take a look at the EMA ribbon, you can see that we had another long signal here on the 1 hour chart. Bear in mind that's only the 1 hour chart. You get this long signal when these EMAs, so the exponential moving averages here in that ribbon, when they cross to the upside, yeah. So here you had a short signal when they crossed down, and here you have a long signal because they cross again to the upside. Now that's only the 1 hour chart. That can happen and change very frequently. Here on the 4 hour chart, nothing has changed yet. So we had that long signal already down here at around 81 cents. And since then, it's continued to move up. It did hold now. Basically that EMA ribbon, it didn't really fall below it. And we're back above the EMA ribbon on the 4 hour chart, and we are still quite far away from the EMA ribbon on the daily chart. So the further you're away from it, the harder it will be for the price, because it will not act as support really, because it's too far away, but it's catching up a little bit. Therefore, it's actually healthy not always to move away too much from the EMA ribbon. Yeah, we're currently, I mean, the EMA here, the first EMA is around $1.06 now. But again, on the 4 hour, we're holding it. We've got that long signal still, so nothing has changed yet. We are still above that 50-day moving average here as well, which is currently at 95 cents. So all of that is going to provide support on the way down. And we can also have a look at the 20-day moving average. Where is that actually? And that will probably be close to where those EMAs are. Here you can see it around $1.03. So when this is catching up, that's good, because this is going to act as support the same way it has acted as resistance on the way down here. Okay, so currently in a short-term uptrend, absolutely above the 20, above the 50-day moving average. What will be very important for Cardano when it breaks that 126 level, very important that it also moves to the 200-day moving average. I think it's going to do that when it breaks above 126, 127, but this will be a tough one to take here, the 150 level, before we break above that important 163. But the 150 level is so important because this is, first of all, we had a high here previously, so a bit of support and resistance going on there, but also the 200-day moving average. And Bitcoin is currently struggling with that one, so that will be a very, very important one. Yeah, so far looking good for Cardano, I would say. Generally, yeah, even though we still have downside risk, but we are now in a period where I think the hype can start anytime about the Vasil hard fork. So yeah, be prepared for that. So hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.